It is said that every soul has a path they must follow.
Hello my fellow friends, it's Chris from Shughead Gaming, and I'm bringing you my review for Twilight Path, developed and produced by Charm Games. Previously released for PC headsets back in 2018, it finally makes its debut on the PSVR this October 28th, 2020. This is priced at $15, but of course that depends on your region. Twilight Path is a beautiful and rich fantasy adventure told through puzzle gameplay and designed exclusively for VR. Created by the same developers that brought us Form, another VR puzzle title, Charm Games has demonstrated some previous talent in this genre. Stick with me while I tear this apart and see how it fares. As always guys, if you like this video, please hit that like button. It not only helps out my channel, but VR gaming as a whole. And if you'd like to see more VR content from me, please consider subscribing. And for video updates, you know what the deal is, hit that bell icon. In addition, Jughead Gaming is on Discord and well on its way to creating a fun and positive space where VR gamers can come to get VR news, chat, and find others to game with. Come check us out. It's that time again, let's talk graphics. With a fantasy meets dream world aesthetic, Twilight Path quickly establishes itself as a nice looking VR game. Twilight Path immediately pulled me in with its warm, inviting color palette, detailed world textures, and imaginative architecture. Being essentially an on-rails experience, this control of the play space serves the game well as it is able to pull all its graphical resources into what is in your immediate view. Punching above its weight class on the visual side of things, Twilight Path looks great in the headset, with a good draw distance, limited jagged edges, and some nice lighting and particle effects, all coming together to help create a world that delivers on the whole storybook vibe that it sets out to deliver. However, while Twilight Path is a nice looking game, it does lack variety, in not only its puzzle presentation, but also in its level design, as outside of the game's early tutorial stage, it spends all of the game's 90 minutes in the same road in the sky locale. And while this world is a nice one, I kept waiting for the game to grow into something new. And it didn't. Sound is up next.
You've conjured a connection to time itself. Remarkable. You'll be able to summon items from the past to the present.
Just think of all the things you could do with them. You literally could find all my stuff that I lost a week ago.
Twilight Path, like its visuals, delivers a sound mix that is both warm and inviting, while immediately transporting you to a magical-like fantasy world. Music and puzzle effects all come together to create a cohesive and nicely understated soundscape that blends well into the environmental effects, resulting in a mix that successfully feels spacious and complex. Puzzle sounds, though, do take center stage here, all being portrayed with their own sing-song styled personality, which, as the game progresses, turns into full-on music-based puzzles. Voice acting finishes off this mix with voice work that is delivered fine by your two companions, but really isn't helped much by the bland dialogue that simply serves to guide you through the world and really not much else. Coming off, in my opinion, as a huge missed opportunity to create some wonderful character moments. Case in point to any Studio Ghibli fans that might feel a strong similarity between the fire spirit here in Twilight Path and Kelsifer from Howl's Moving Castle. Yeah, Kelsifer, this is not. And that brings us to gameplay. For those familiar with Charm Games' prior title Form, much of what is here in Twilight Path will feel quite similar. In fact, at times Twilight Path feels like an almost reskinned version of Form, simply trading up its sci-fi aesthetic for one based on high fantasy. Your linear journey finds you riding along with two companions as you help them navigate their rail car through a road in the sky. This 90-minute puzzle-based adventure is essentially a series of stops along the road in which you must open doors and repair paths so that the three of you may reach your destination. Much like we saw in Form, puzzles here are relatively simple, as they mostly rely on your discovery of gameplay mechanics and less on the puzzle actually challenging you, mostly revolving around placing pieces in specific places or manipulating objects in the game world. Unfortunately, after about the halfway point in this already brief adventure, the game runs out of new gameplay mechanics and consequently become a case of rinse and repeat, with the same puzzle styles being solved in much of the same manner that you discovered prior. Unfortunately, matters are made even slightly more mundane by the fact that much of the time you won't even be asked to solve puzzles and instead are simply asked to repeat simple movements or lift debris off the road. Movement of your character is very limited, with most puzzles simply being placed in front of you as you teleport in. Click turning is your only means of movement short of actually turning your body and is limited to only 3 click positions. Unfortunately, with your hands being the only real control that you have in the game, one would hope this mechanic was properly implemented. Alas, it is not, with hand tracking that felt intentionally sluggish and created a floaty sense to my actions that simply made manipulating objects at times a chore. This was never game-breaking, but it felt like a poor design choice. Your other control option comes in the form of a force pull, which is activated by gripping and moving your hands together, consequently allowing you to reach far objects and engage teleport locations. Twilight Path requires the use of 2 move controllers and can be played seated or standing with little room required, as most arm movement will be right in front of you. Outside of the few slow train car sequences, motion sickness should be at a minimum, as movement for the most part is simply click turning and teleportation. And finally, that brings us to fun factor in my final review. Funny enough, while my comments prior would lead you to think that I disliked this game, in fact, that's not the case. As someone who actually really dislikes puzzle games for the most part, I take no joy in banging my head against a wall trying to figure something out, and this is especially true when in a headset. As such, Twilight Path, with its almost casual take on the puzzle genre, when combined with some nice visuals and sound design, made for a pleasant time in the headset for me, if not really the most engaging. As you guys likely know, I hate numbered review scores and instead rate games on the basis of buy it, burn it, or wait on it, as well as some additional details on who this might appeal to. Twilight Path, with its almost casual take on the puzzle genre when combined with some nice visuals and sound design, is a nice and simple time in VR that will likely appeal to a younger audience or those looking for some casual stress relief. Unfortunately, the game is short and comes off like a single player chapter of a larger game, with some beating it in as little as 70 minutes. As such, even for those interested in this, I would say wait for a sale on this unless this just really speaks to you. As for non-puzzle fans out there, this probably just isn't the game for you. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Thanks for stopping by. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you'd like to see more VR content from me, please consider subscribing. As always, guys, I'll catch you on my next video.